Understanding the ABCs of LN/ZP/NA/AF. Unraveling the Lexicon of the NoLow Movement. By Nurin. With its robust portfolio of around 11 zero-proof beers in rotation at any time, BrewDog Brewery arguably crafts more non-alcoholic beer options for the American market than any other alcohol-producing entity. But the Scotland-based brewery encountered a wee marketing snag when it introduced its flagship line of NAs in the States. According to the US government, their labeling bordered on a lie. BrewDog's Punk AF, Elvis AF, and Hazy AF play a cheeky game of double entendre, advertising the brewery's irreverent image and the fact that these beers are AF, also known as alcohol-free. Trouble is, while the names reflect reality in the UK, stateside agencies do not consider BrewDog's AF brand of beverages alcohol-free at all, as they contain between 0.01 to 0.49% alcohol by volume, ABV. This makes them, by official American definition, non-alcoholic, NA. Let us explain. Though most people use AF, NA, zero proof, ZP, and variations of No/Low, also known as NoLow, interchangeably, only a 0% ABV beer like Heineken 0.0 or Bud 0 can legally call itself alcohol-free in the US. A beer that contains less than 0.5% ABV, similar to an Apple, some sodas, or an Elvis AF, must call itself non-alcoholic and also state, contains less than 0.5% ABV. See here for a chart on other countries' limits. BrewDog isn't breaking any laws, as the words alcohol-free never appear. However, its misfortunate misnomers hint at the myriad confusions lurking around so many corners of the NoLow landscape. For instance, NoLow wine labels follow the same rules as beer, though NA wine that originally contained ethanol also needs to say dealcoholized or alcohol removed. Non-alcoholic spirits, curiously, don't have to say anything at all. With so much complexity in one unopened bottle or can, how can a NoLow initiate expect to navigate an entire aisle or menu? Inevitably questions open up like, how do producers make NoLow beverages? Are they safe? Why are they so expensive? Is it cool to say mocktail?
Why do NoLow drinks cost so much? If there's one thing serious purveyors want, it's for you to take their products seriously. Sometimes when you have a zero-proof list it can seem like it's a bunch of juice or an afterthought, says Kaylee Jenkins, GM of James Beard Foundation outstanding chef Michael Solomonov's Laser Wolf restaurant in Philadelphia. We tweak our zero-proof cocktail recipes, make syrups, and need to figure out how to create the same body and balance without the alcohol. No matter if it's a handcrafted cocktail or a near beer, producers often trial and error hundreds of prototypes as they formulate an alcohol-like drink with no alcohol. Whether they're striving to fashion a facsimile of an original or conceive of completely novel experience, the labor, ingredients and equipment can quickly add up to higher price points than their alcoholic counterparts. An old-fashioned, there's a recipe for that. But here you have to make up for those flavors because people have an expectation of what an old-fashioned is supposed to taste like, says Amanda Lewis, co-owner of South Jersey NoLow Bar Mercantile 1888. That's why these drinks often cost the same or more as their boozy brethren, and why experts approve of the terms bartender and bar for NoLow-only people and places but gently recommend ridding the word mocktail from your lexicon. Some people feel it cheapens it, says Jenkins. It kind of insinuates a fake version or something that doesn't take as much care. How do you produce a NoLow beverage? The most common way to make a NoLow drink is to produce a low ALC version first. Then either dilute, or remove the alcohol molecules, usually by reverse osmosis or vacuum distillation. Reverse osmosis, RO, involves running a fermented liquid one or more times through high-pressure membrane filters to separate the water from the alcohol, flavor and aromatic compounds, then subsequently rehydrating those compounds. But RO filters can't remove enough ethanol to qualify their filtered liquids as alcohol-free. Instead, dealcoholized 0% AF drinks usually get run through a column still under a vacuum, which reduces the boiling point of the ethanol so that it separates from the desired compounds at a lower heat than normal, leaving more of those delicate aromatic molecules intact. This vacuum distillation results in all of the alcohol, and some flavors, being removed and captured in a different vessel. Some NA wine producers use spinning cone columns, a version of vacuum distillation. The rotating cones create a thin film of wine while the vacuum allows for the separation of compounds at low temperatures. As with RO, in vacuum distillation much can be lost along with the alcohol, which, aside from flavor and aromas, packs the mouthfeel, finish and balance we expect from an alcoholic beverage. Plus, alcohol can naturally scrub or hide less desirable sensory notes. The first time a consumer tries NA beer, they might say it tastes like potatoes, says Megan Anderson, founder of the Aficionado Certification Program, the world's first pro-level certification program for NA adult beverages. We're restricting the amount of alcohol expression, which means we're allowing some of these other aromas to break through. Experienced NoLow producers know how to compensate for these lacks and excesses. Winemakers and distillers can choose to blend in sweeteners, artificial flavorings or natural additives, and brewers can add extracts like hop oils to build body. Though most NL producers don't divulge details of their processes, they do have to display a nutritional label, unlike alcoholic items. To educate yourself about the contents of a container, look at the ingredients. That's what you're getting, says Chris Abbott from the Pathfinder, a hemp-derived NA spirit. To assure quality when ordering NA wine, notice also what the label doesn't include, says Rachel Martin, owner of Oceano Zero Winery on California's Central Coast. Where are the grapes grown? You might see, produced in Germany or Spain, but it doesn't say where the grapes are grown. There's no vintage, no vineyard, no talk of terroir, she says. The first ingredient should be dealcoholized wine. I don't enjoy grape sweeteners, grape must or grape juice because they make it taste like grapes and we're not here for that. A tiny number of winemakers do want their alcohol-free wine to taste like grapes. They make what they colloquially call varietal juice, by pressing and aging unfermented type-specific grapes instead of the Concord varietal that goes into the grape juice we drank as kids. More commonly, new NoLow producers are getting away from trying to reproduce or even reimagine traditional wines, beers and spirits by crafting what they designate as alcohol alternatives. These are no-ethanol blends meant to be savored for their own merits during typical and probably atypical drinking occasions. 3-Spirit Functional Beverages Lily makes his AF spirits and wines primarily by layering extractions from plant materials like teas, stone fruits, and Szechuan peppers. A few popular wineries, like Canada's Proxies, base their juice on vinegar. When you're dealcoholizing, you're going to be making a poor replacement. So why not create something that can be used the same way? Lily argues. Can everyone drink NoLow safely? None of this means AF products come without cautions. Dr. Keith Villa, who created Blue Moon Beer as a former employee at Molson Coors, brews his latest project, the AF line of Syria beers, with a technology he patented. He says he's tested self-proclaimed alcohol-free 0% vacuum-distilled beers that had ABVs as high as 0.06%. Lucky for alcohol-avoidant drinkers, the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, TTB, runs its own tests to validate every 0% beer on the market. Among his various spirit alternatives, Lilly advises prospective customers to notice particular ingredients like caffeine, valerian and ashwagandha, which pregnant women are advised not to consume above certain quantities. Again, these inputs and callouts appear on the label, some by legal mandate, some by choice.
Will NoLow beverages make me sick? Even with transparent labeling requirements, without alcohol's antiseptic properties, NoLow beers, wines and spirits can get you sick in ways their alcoholic counterparts can't. NA beer can support the growth of pathogens, so if somebody is on the filling line and goes to the bathroom and doesn't wash their hands, it can potentially make people sick, Villa says. Well-funded brewers tend to avoid this by pasteurizing their products. But Villa says of the two principal available technologies, he only trusts tunnel pasteurization, which uses hot water to kill contaminants after packaging. Flash pasteurization, on the other hand, occurs before the beer gets kegged, bottled or canned, exposing it to common contamination spots on the filling line. While those in Villa's camp suggest a consumer may want to seek out pasteurized beers over non, brewers don't have to announce their approach. Hence, if you're looking to be extra safe, you may want to avoid kegged NoLow beer, which is generally flash pasteurized and can pick up even more pathogens in the tap. Ask the last time they cleaned the tap lines and last time that keg was tapped, Anderson says. The line should also be dedicated to NA beer, otherwise you're getting yeast in those lines. Whether at the serving site or the brewery, NL beer that's not tunnel pasteurized needs to stay away from alcohol-producing yeast, lest it creep into the product and create alcohol, not to mention certain types of yeast and pathogens that can make cans bulge and explode. Some brewers are foregoing that and are putting them on the shelf with labels to say keep cold so the cans don't start bulging up, says Villa. It's a disservice to the customer. BrewDog, a globally renowned independent brewery that seems to near constantly court controversy, employs many different methods of making its nanny state NA Golden Ale and others. BrewDog USA head brewer Ben Chambers says the brewery chooses to flash pasteurize its NA beers destined for packaging in part because the in-house lab rigorously tests and approves every bit of microbiology before a drop of liquid leaves the building. How long do I store ZP products? You should keep zero-proof beer below 39 degrees Fahrenheit regardless, and feel free to ask merchants if they're doing the same. And don't store any NA product longer than you would an alcoholic version, especially if it's not pasteurized. Most offer a drink by date. Hey, do you have NA beer, and it's all the way in the back and it's not cold? I'd probably say no thank you, says Anderson. Most beer, wine and spirits best by dates vary between 6 days and 12 months after opening. Regardless of what libations you find yourself liking, everyone interviewed for this article stressed the same point. NoLow products have to be transparent about their contents. At least that's one transparent thing about the emerging industry, one that reminds NL thought leaders of the Wild West for its complex and chaotic terrain. As it evolves, stay informed by following Zero Proof Go, the adult non-alcoholic beverage industry, aficionados. BrewDog, for one, is setting their own example of transparency for others to follow by open-sourcing its recipes so homebrewers can brew them at home. What can I do for these craft beer fans, says Chambers in a sentiment echoed by producers dedicated to their respective crafts. We still want the enjoyable flavor of the beer even if they don't want the alcohol.